Browns held the Bengals to just 3 points.
This is a good Browns team.
It just seems like he's off the mark every single time.
I like Deshaun too, but Deshaun is not living up to it.
He's not the old Deshaun Watson. Bad organizations, they find themselves in holes and they grab a shovel and keep on digging.
Everybody needs to relax. In one word, I think you could say that that game was frustrating. First and foremost, Harrison Bryant opening play, the way that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are trying to frame that as a bad pass on Watson, sure, it could be 6 inches further inside, but that was absolutely brutal. If you think that there is a single receivers coach or tight ends coach in this league that wouldn't say that that was on Harrison Bryant, you're crazy. That was 100% on Harrison Bryant. That out of the way, let's get into it. This offensive line is touted as a top 5 O-line, but I think we all know that that is anchored by the interior. Jedrick Wills is an absolute liability in any sort of intense scenario where you need him to win a one-on-one matchup. On that strip sack, right off the snap, he's turned around, running backwards. Watson gets stripped, and he's just standing there like, bro, I got beat again. He wants to be Trent Williams so bad, but forgets to realize that even the way he warms up shows more intensity than the way Jedrick Wills plays. And I think Wills is mostly mediocre, but when he's bad, it's in key moments that winds up burning the team. So let's talk about Deshaun Watson for a second. We're still left with a ton of questions. I think most of us thought leaving that Cincinnati game, okay, he did enough to move the chains. He made the plays that he had to make. And once we get into some dry weather, we're going to really see him be able to uncork it. But that just didn't happen. I know he was under pressure all night, but still, there were times where he was running into sacks in the pocket. Just his pocket awareness didn't seem as sharp as it has even when he's been on the Browns. Maybe that's just a testament to the Steelers front, but they didn't have Cam Hayward, man. This was lighter than it should have been, so you can't make excuses for him there. And there were just a couple plays in general where you're wondering, where is the accuracy? Where's the vision? Just didn't seem like there was any rhythm, there was any comfortability. And that's something that we saw with Baker Mayfield. It's sort of feast or famine. It's convert on a big third down with not much happening in first and second down unless we're running Nick Chubb. And now with Chubb gone, you're going to have to become Superman as Deshaun Watson. You're going to have to become the answer, the person who makes it happen. And we're just not seeing that right now. So that was definitely concerning. In terms of good things that Deshaun Watson did, if you look at the field positioning the Browns had to start with offensively throughout that game, I mean, in that fourth quarter, multiple times inside your own 10 and being able to move beyond the shadow of that was fantastic. There were a couple third downs where Watson worked through his progressions, made great throws, had great vision on those plays. So that's the hopeful thing that you see. If you can do it in those moments, under the most pressure, under the most duress, then that's the bright side. And that should be able to be transferred on first down and second down as well. So that's just to say there are the positives. There are some areas of improvement, but regression in others. And it just all boils down to the consistency, and maybe that's play calling. Maybe it's not. In general, Watson has to be better. At least he was in those third down moments, but it still wasn't good enough. In the fourth quarter, it was just constant messes with the defense, saving the day and giving the offense another chance to go out and produce. The Njoku fumble in the fourth quarter was just absolutely brutal. I mean, here's the thing with Njoku. He can either have a one-handed touchdown grab, an in route, 73 yards for a touchdown against the Chargers, or he can drop the easiest passes or fumble when he's carrying the ball. And this is something that I noticed in the broadcast. The way Njoku carries the ball is the reason for these fumbles. Here's a little football basics. When you carry a football, most coaches will tell you either finger on the tip or split it so you can get the ball in the elbow and across the chest. So you have 3 points of contact. The way Njoku carries the ball is he has his hands split around it like this. And as he's carrying it, it leaves a space. And that's where you saw the Pittsburgh defense punch through on the back end because the back tip is hanging out and exposed. I don't understand how something like that goes unnoticed and how you aren't coaching that up 6 years into your professional career. It's ridiculous. What we saw yesterday was just about the absolute worst case scenario that could have happened for the entire season, and not because we lost or that the offense looked anemic for the most part, but that Nick Chubb is out. You're always thinking, man, I hope our O-line can stay healthy. I hope that, Myles Garrett can stay healthy. You're always thinking about these certain players, but you never thought it would be Nick Chubb just by the way that he played. And it's absolutely heartbreaking, but if anyone can come back from it, it's him. There is a big portion of Browns fans right now saying that Minkah Fitzpatrick should be suspended and that it was an intentional dirty hit. I do not think that that is how Mike Tomlin coaches his players. I don't think that that's the kind of person Minkah Fitzpatrick is. He was not thinking in that moment, okay, I'm gonna shoot as his leg is fully extended so his foot gets pinned ahead of his knee and then he'll get rotated over top. That was not the thought process. That's not what was going on. It wasn't intentional. And this is where I want to go to next, just about Browns fans in general. The way people are exploding. Obviously, everyone's very upset about Nick Chubb. Everyone's upset about Watson's play, which is understandable. Wasn't good enough. He needs to improve. But just the mindset of Browns fans. Something bad happens, some dramatic moment, which is just football. And everything gets related back to classic Browns. Of course, this would happen to the Browns. Woe is me. That negative energy is just feeding into the confirmation bias that you have, where when one bad thing happens to the Browns, you associate it to the drive, red right 88, the kick 6. There's a pride that Browns fans have in declaring how unfortunate the franchise is. And it's just like, none of this has anything to do with the past. The drive, the fumble, red right 88, none of these things have anything to do with the 2023 Browns. I refuse to buy into that. If bad things happen, if this team winds up going 6-11, it was just a bad year and it needs to be recalibrated. However, if it doesn't, I'm not going to say the curse is broken. We're finally here. We're finally a great team. It's like, no, this team has been through the ebbs and flows of a rebuild over the past 5 years. Now moving forward, the big question is, how much time do we give Deshaun Watson to figure it out? How much time do we give him to come back to form, to just be able to hit the simple things, to look comfortable again, and to not be the 2020 MVP discussion caliber quarterback? Not to be that. I think he gets up until the San Francisco game. They have the Titans and the Ravens coming up, then the bye week, then the San Francisco game. I think they will give him through the bye week to the San Francisco game, but after that, if he truly is a broken bird, if he just cannot pull it together and Stefanski's seat starts getting warmer and warmer and warmer from Jimmy Haslam, I think you could see the shift to DTR. However, I'm not banging on that table. I don't want Stefanski to get fired. I want Stefanski to be the answer, and I want Watson to return to his form. That's what I want, but I'm not attached to that because that's just reality of the sport. Sometimes you got to freshen things up and you need new faces. Things you got to keep in mind that this is a great defense. The interior of the O-line is still strong. We could still kind of run the ball in certain scenarios with who we have. Maybe they'll bring back Kareem Hunt. You just got to hope that Watson can take the next step in his development, because 1% better every week isn't going to do anything for us. It's got to be 10% better. You have to make up for the absence of Chubb now. And very final point, was the DPJ play a pass interference? The refs missed the face mask on Deshaun Watson and the Browns get called for holding. None of that matters. There's always going to be missed calls. There's always going to be bias when you're the road team. It doesn't matter. The refs aren't coming to save you. The simple fact is that this team did not execute. Watson didn't make plays on first and second down that we needed him to make. The offensive line folded in key moments, and TJ Watt is a Hall of Famer. So on that note, I think that's the week 2 recap. Middle of the pack in the division, 1-1 in the division. Everyone relax. Season's not over. Subscribe, comment, all of those things, and we will see you in the next recap. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.